the role of HR is constantly evolving, and according to me, it is taking a very bigger shape in nowadays in terms of developing the business. For an example, the tradition was earlier to only limited to some kind of compliances and payroll activities and all. However, the current scenario, if you see, the role is becoming more wider in terms of addressing to board, navigating to board. Uh, then also becoming HR business partner and all. So the role has evolved from kind of like normal peripheral to shifted to the influencing to the critical member. So that is one aspect. Second aspect is that lot many programs which were earlier HR used to do, now you see a lot many capturings they are doing by using data and all in terms of having employee experience. So this is also one of the things to motivate the employee in terms of understanding the employee experience part. Now HR is also innovative nowadays in terms of agility, in terms of understanding the employee. uh, Very important is that how we are treating our own employees. Now nowadays there are so many things like you can do good for your organization and good for your own employees also. So I think treating our own employees and taking care of them is a vital important. So I generally feel that employee becoming as a customer instead of the employee, this is what I feel. And we should treat the employee as good as a customer. That's a revised role which can be taken note of. And use of technology earlier, when I started my career, it was a big kind of like compliances and all, but nowadays it is a digitally transformed world where you can use the technology. So lot many decisions can be taken on the database which is available with the company. It's only the way you interpret the data and the way you uh, make the things available for the key stakeholders to take a decision. For example, attrition analysis, which is happening in which kind of like department, who is which is a grade or kind of band where it is this is happening. So you go into deep and deep and you understand the root cause and then you attack on the problem so that the problem can be resolved. So I think data is more important, and then based on data you can always take a right decision. And that's the right use of utilizing the data. Also last point which is important is that like increase most of the people started like having D&I, diversity and inclusion types of things, but I think inclusion is more important to gather the different perspective and nurturing for the belongingness of the employees. Nowadays like technology has taken a very competitive stage. If you see all industrial revolution what is happening across the world, the fourth industrial revolution is the digital kind of like revolution which is happening as industry 4.0. Now in this most of the technologies are based on IoT, most of the technologies are based on kind of like things which are based out of connectivity and all. So uh, reskilling is the term which basically is developed to reduce the repetitive job. Meaning if you can see the bank and all earlier, the way of working, and now after the involvement of the different apps and systems, the way of working in the bank is absolutely changed, and that's the reason it is called as reskilling. Now if you see upskilling, what is upskilling is the or maybe a simple example I can give is the UI UX person who is preparing for the apps and all, they are continuously agile in terms of developing their own app or in a way that it is user friendly to the customer. And so reskilling and upskilling are the very normal terminology, and nowadays it is required because of the competitiveness. Now if you see, there are lot many FDIs are coming to India in terms of investment and all. When these FDIs are coming, what is important is productivity and all. to utilize best productivity, they are having kind of different kind of technology. So for a HR, it is very very important to keep the workforce updated to the technology. I will give one example. We are manufacturing the railway engines for European countries under the umbrella of Force MTU. So, building a railway engine is not easy, and that too with the emission and everything as per the norms of Europe is very, very important. So, we sent many of our training engineers to German to understand and to have the product knowledge, particularly about the building and calibration of the rail engine and all. So these things are specifically required for every industry, and according to me, every industry is striving hard to upgrade their people on reskilling. So this is very very important. What is important for HR is also think for a long term perspective. Let's say for 3 to 5 years, what kind of projects we are involving or inserting in our company, what kind of technologies will be introduced, and based on, I think, like, we can always train our people and reskill and upskill our people for a competitive advantage for us. There are a lot many different channels we can utilize for effective communication. Uh, Generally, town hall is a preferred one, where it is an opportunity given to all employees to understand the vision from the management. And I have seen couple of leaders has given very good insight about uh, the business perspective about 2 to 3 years and the projections about the current business and all. Now, having said this, there are different channels also. Other than town halls, there are magazines, there are software called Teams. Nowadays, I also have seen some kind of like mobile apps which are trying to understand the employee mood. There are radio channels which are internally run within the organization also. So different ways and means are there. But addressing to your important question, particularly to communication gap from the top management, I think more emphasis to be done in terms of branding about it. Let's say one example. Let's say a company is growing in a very normal way of CAGR of 15% per annum, and they wanted to acquire, another product which is inorganic growth about that company. So I think very few people are aware about, like, what is happening. Of course, these things will be confidential, and one point of time that will be published in a right way. However, I think whenever there are some kind of like big things happening within the companies, they should try to understand and try to involve the right stakeholders well in advance, like, focus group meetings, understanding their opinions. They also need to consult in terms of, like, the critical stakeholders within the company and all. But what is important is communication to the stakeholder. Now, if you see any automotive company, acquisition is one of the very very important things. Let's say I wanted to I am supplier as a tier 1, and I wanted to give product to my OEM. So having said that, we won the customer award in terms of product award, starting the phase of acquisition radar, knowing about the proto model, giving PPAP to the customer, then having some kind of developing the program management, is basically the different ways to manage the employee communication, talk about the challenges in SOPs and all. And once the SOP become green, like the product is good to launch in terms of serial sales, I think the employer will have some kind of good ease out in terms of communication. So uh, still I prefer, like, there can be digital communication where you can address to thousand of people. There can be one-on-one communication in terms of town hall. There are different ways and means, but organization can use kind of different blends to address people. Here emotions of the people are very very important, and we should hear them out in even uh, they wanted to give some kind of suggestions. As I stated, like, HR generally is driven by the business and nothing wrong about it. However, I see HR has to be also agile to understand what kind of business is coming. Let's say a business of huge electronics and semiconductor, which recently India, there are 3 to 4 new announcements started. So the role of the HR is to connect with the right talent in terms of those people who basically have the experience of electronics and electricals and all. That will be huge required. Second is to influence the business leaders about right talent and strategies to be mapped in terms of, like, developing the talents, developing, let's say a company is expanding their expansion programs and all, and you require future leaders and all. So uh, investing in talent is not kind of like generally accepted concept in India. Generally we invest whenever there is a requirement, but we generally should invest before requiring the talent, meaning like 24 to 36 months before that the talent is ready to nurture to the next level. Let's say a plant manager, you want to develop 3 plant managers, so start taking pool of 6 people, try to develop them. Out of 6, 4 to 5 will develop uh, in years to come, but there has to be very right way to capture this. Third point HR can do is focus on some potential people or high potential people, which is called hypots. Hypots is the people who can influence and who can do some kind of lot many positive vibes and environment within the organization. So developing their IDPs, individual development plan, developing their own creativity, generally boost kind of things. So I think HR cannot do a lot when there is a developing economy. It is only how we influence on the business leaders.